Pleased to be joined now by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, the longest-serving Edmonton Oiler, which hardly sounds right, but it's true. Well, you know, when we plan these programs and we put the request in for our guests, we don't cheer for any particular team, but I can tell you we don't hope for a result the like of which you got tonight. So let's begin with the result, weighed against the message that Todd McClellan was trying to send this week in a sort of boot camp week of practice.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it just wasn't our night tonight. As the game went on, we had a lot of chances, and they just capitalized on theirs, and pretty much that was the story of the game. So it's one of those nights where you kind of got to forget about it and move on, and it's a good thing you play 82 games.
Unfortunately, I know what it feels like to play in some of those games, and it seemed like it was one of those games that the harder you tried, the more it kind of backfired in your face. Give them some credit with the way they played. They were opportunistic and they capitalized, but did you kind of get that sense too that the harder you pushed, it seemed the harder they pushed back?
Yeah, a little bit, I'd say. I mean, they do a good job of waiting for you to make mistakes, and we knew that coming in, and I don't think we made a ton of mistakes, but I mean, when there was a little bit of a breakdown, they definitely took advantage of that, and yeah, you can give credit to them, but I mean, at the same time, we need to be better, and like I said, I mean, it's a long season and early right now, so just got to move on from this one.
Last question about the game. The Oilers were facing adversity after losses to Vancouver and Winnipeg, and now the adversity mounts with this result tonight. How much of a test will this be for your team?
Yeah, I mean, it's every team goes through stretches like this throughout the season. For us, early is not the way that we wanted to start, for sure. But I mean, it's like you said, it's adversity right away, so we got to find a way to get ourselves out of it, and we did it last year. We know that we're capable of it, so we just got to find that.
Okay, now we turn the page, and hopefully you can as best you can. Up until maybe last year, your whole career was judged on points, and suddenly you're being described as a solid two-way center. What happened?
Well, I mean, I think early in my career it was kind of obvious if I wanted to be a good player, a key player in this league, I need to find that two-way game, and it's something that I've been working on a lot over the past few years, and I know I can still take strides in that area, but I mean, I don't want to sacrifice too much offense as well, and that's something that I'm focusing on a lot this year. I mean, it's a lot about it's two-way, so it's not just pure defense. I mean, you got to find that good in between. So definitely wanting to hone that this season.
You know, one of the things I see a little different now, you're playing with a little more confidence in the sense that you've kind of mastered that defensive side of the game. Are you looking to push a little more offensively this year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a risk player all the time, but I mean, there's definitely a time and a place to go for it, and in this season, I have it in my head that I want to go for it, and I want to create stuff, and I need to be confident in myself to be able to go do that. So I mean, like I said, it's not going to be, I'm not going to be toe dragging and stuff when I'm last guy back or anything like that, but there's definitely a time and a place, and I have to find those opportunities more.
You know, I think of someone like Steve Yzerman, who redefined himself at a later point in his career than you are now, but do you think you've already redefined yourself?
Well, I mean, I still think that I can take strides in the right direction, but I mean, probably a little bit, my game has changed a little bit from when I first came into the league, for sure, and it's something that I'm going to keep working on, and I mean, I want to be a good player in this league for a long time, and I think the best way for me is going to be that two-way game.
I know one place where you could have cared less about defense, and it was about 14 years ago, the 2003 Brick Super Novice Tournament here in Edmonton. You were with the Vancouver Vipers. How well do you remember this?
I mean, it's a long time ago now, but I definitely remember bits and pieces. It's kind of the one tournament growing up as a really young kid that you're really excited about. The teams before us would go and they have a blast, and so it was probably my first time or first couple times coming to Alberta, coming to Edmonton, and playing in that mall was awesome. I mean, it's still a cool mall now, and with the water park, with the amusement park, but especially back then, it was a lot of fun.
Stayed in the Fantasy Hotel, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what the theme of my room was, but that's where we stayed. So that was another cool thing, another cool part of the tournament.
So you still go to the Fantasy Hotel, the water park?
Haven't been to the Fantasy Hotel in a long time, but gone to the water park not too long ago. So even though you get older, you still like to have fun with that.
Yeah, really, nothing's changed except a big paycheck, perhaps. Here's a tweet from Joe Whitebread. He says, feel free to use this picture of young RNH modeling his Rebels jersey at a team-sponsored breakfast in 2011. This sort of points out your size or lack thereof back then.
Yeah, that's I was probably 17, going to be turning 18 pretty soon. So I'd say physically a lot's changed since then.
Well, let's take a look at you with the Red Deer Rebels. We've got some footage of you here, dryland training, I think. You might have been, I don't know, 138 pounds there. You came into the NHL at about 160, and now you're listed at 191. So how hard have you had to work to add this muscle and change your physique?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, always was kind of the skinny kid, and I mean, a lot was harped on putting size on, putting muscle on, but I mean, I kind of knew that I didn't want to just gain the muscle or gain a lot of weight for no reason. And I think naturally, when I was probably about 20, it started to come a little bit more. And but definitely, there's a lot that goes into it in the gym and diet-wise that has changed a lot since I was 17 years old.
Speaking of weight coming naturally,
Yeah, I've never had that problem. I'll gladly give you a bunch of mine.
all right, one more question
No
from you, Lee, before we head to break.
Something you and I talked about this morning was, he's getting a kick out of that, isn't he? Difference in training this summer. You know, you said you concentrated a little bit more on endurance, on the cardiovascular, and you've seen some differences already, how that's paid off. So already making adjustments as a seasoned veteran now.
Yeah, I'd say in the gym we did a little bit more cardio stuff, and then on the ice this summer focused a little bit more on doing scrimmages, doing full ice practice kind of things. In the past couple summers, did a lot of skill work, and we still mix that in. But I thought this year we did a lot more, like I said, just scrimmages, and then you can kind of feel the game a little bit more. You don't lose it so much, and because most of the game's about that timing and about feeling good with the puck, feeling confident with guys coming at you and stuff. So doing that, I think, definitely helps you at the start of the season.
All right, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins of the Edmonton Oilers is our guest on After Hours. When we come back, we'll head to the races as we continue from Rogers Place in Edmonton. We continue with After Hours from the Oilers Hall of Fame room at Rogers Place. Our guest is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. It was brought to my attention during that second round series with Anaheim that you actually had a horse running in a stakes race at Hastings in Vancouver, I think. How big is horse racing in your life?
Yeah, no, it's something that's been in my family for a long time.
That's you with Xenia, right? The very first horse that
I love
you
that name
purchased.
too.
Yeah. She's actually retired from racing now, so. But yeah, it's been in my family since before I was around, and when I got the chance to be involved, it was something fun to pick up on, and still learning a lot about it. But it's definitely a fun hobby, passion of mine.
Tweet from Kevin Jesus, works for Global, by the way, I think. Any new horses? Are you focused on Canadian races? And what about the Kentucky Derby?
Yeah, the Kentucky Derby, I'd say, is probably the end goal, I'd say. But I mean, right now it's a lot of fun just having a couple in Vancouver and getting to see them on the weekends in the summer, and go in the morning and stuff once in a while to see them train. Don't know about any new ones on the horizon, but maybe expand it sooner than later.
Can you ride a horse?
A little bit. I wouldn't be able to ride a thoroughbred, I don't think. Not one of those, yeah.
Louis, speaking of thrills.
Speaking of thrills, there was some big thrills here in the springtime. You run into the playoffs and into the second round. What was your most vivid memory of that time in the playoffs last year?
For me, I think Game 6 against Anaheim was unbelievable. I mean, just the atmosphere in the crowd was just incredible. It was an afternoon game, or late afternoon, I guess, and after for hours. We spent a lot of time in the room after, and it was like an hour and a half after, and people were still driving by, waving flags and honking their horns and having a great time. So I mean, it was amazing to see the city really rally around the team, and unfortunately, that was my first experience in the playoffs in Edmonton, but I mean, it was worth the wait.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's finish with a couple of tweets. Here's one from Bernd. You think you'll be able to grow a playoff beard anytime soon, or is it even possible?
It'll be about the same as last year. There's not a whole lot going on.
A tweet from Lauren Borgney, which is another personal grooming question. Do you wax your eyebrows, or is that definition natural?
Nope, definitely have never waxed them before, but I guess you could say they're natural, yeah.
True or false, you were, this isn't a tweet, just a question. True or false, you were Hoppy all the way through hockey. That was your nickname until you got to the NHL, and you suddenly became the Nuge. Who's responsible for that, and is it true?
Yes, yeah. No, I was Hoppy all the way to my 17-year-old year in junior, and then I got here, and I think some of the fans started calling me Nuge or something, but the guy on our team was Andy Sutton.
Okay.
And I think he was the first one that brought Nuge, and that's the one that stuck.
All right, the Nuge was our guest on After Hours tonight. Thanks for coming in on a very difficult night. We really appreciate it.